Welcome back, focused learners. Today on The Explainer, we are deconstructing an absolute staple of the electronics workbench. I'm talking about the 2N5401 transistor. Look, if you're ever designing a circuit and you suddenly find yourself needing to wrangle higher voltages, but you really don't want to reach for some bulky power component, well, this little silicone marvel is exactly what you need. We're going to demystify its specs, dig into the physics, and figure out how you can perfectly implement it in your very next build.
Here is our roadmap for today. Number 1. Meet the 2N5401. 2. How a PNP works. 3. Switching and amplifying. 4. Real-world applications. And 5. Limits and replacements. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Meet the 2N5401. High voltage power in a small package.
Okay, let's dive in. 150 volts. The 2N5401 is housed in a tiny TO92 plastic package. You know, the kind of component that's literally smaller than your fingernail. Yet its maximum collector emitter voltage, or VCEO, is an unbelievable 150 volts. For sure, many ordinary small-signal PNP transistors are designed for way lower voltages, and they would simply fry at a fraction of this. This high voltage tolerance is absolutely the component's superpower.
So, beyond that 150-volt limit, the rest of the specs build a really impressive picture of what this component can do. Take a look at the maximum collector current. 600 milliamps. That is a ton of current for a small signal device. It also features a power dissipation of 625 milliwatts and a minimum DC gain, that's your HFE, of 60 when running at 10 milliamps and 5 volts. Add in a super snappy transition frequency of around 300 megahertz, and you've got an incredibly versatile device on your hands. Now keep in mind, exact numbers can kind of vary slightly by manufacturer, so definitely always reference your specific datasheet. But these are the baseline specs you absolutely need to know.
Before you go dropping this into a breadboard, though, I need to issue a really crucial best practice warning. A commonly encountered 2N5401 in a TO92 package has pin 1 as the emitter, pin 2 is the base, and pin 3 is the collector. The crucial takeaway here is never ever assume this pinout is universal. Different manufacturers totally can and will change pin configurations. If you wire it backward, well, it simply won't work, and you just might release the dreaded magic blue smoke. So always check the specific marking on your device and verify it against the manufacturer's documentation.
All right, Section 2. How a PNP works. The math and mechanics. Let's zoom in from those macro specs down to the microphysics.
So how does the 2N5401 actually work? Well, if you're mostly used to standard NPN transistors, you kind of need to flip your thinking entirely here, because a PNP transistor operates fundamentally in reverse. Let's break down the underlying logic.
Just like all bipolar junction transistors, it's got 3 terminals: emitter, base, and collector. Think of the transistor like a giant water valve. You use a very small amount of energy at the base to control a massive flood of energy flowing out of the collector. The math is actually pretty straightforward. Collector current is approximately equal to the transistor's current gain, or beta, multiplied by the base current. So let's say your transistor has a gain of 100, right? And you apply a tiny 2 milliamp control signal to the base. You can theoretically open the floodgates for a 200 milliamp collector current. Now, obviously the actual current will be limited by your specific circuit load, but that's the mechanical theory in a nutshell.
Let's walk through the 3 distinct stages of operating the 2N5401 as a high-side switch. Step 1. The transistor is off. Because it's a PNP, when the base voltage is roughly the exact same as the emitter voltage, the junction is not forward biased. The base current is 0, the collector current is 0, and our valve is fully closed. Step 2. The transistor is on. To open that valve, you have to pull the base voltage sufficiently below the emitter voltage. For this specific silicon PNP, pulling the base about 0.6 to 0.7 volts below the emitter perfectly forward biases the junction. Now current flows freely from the emitter to the collector and right into your load. And finally, step 3, switching. By intentionally driving that base back and forth between those specific off and on voltage levels, the 2N5401 becomes a highly reliable electronic switch.
Section 3. Switching and amplifying. 2 modes of operation.
Okay, so we've just seen how to use it as an electronic switch, where you're driving the base between discrete on and off levels. That is perfect for relay drivers, turning on LEDs, or digital signal switching. But the thing is, the 2N5401 is incredibly versatile. You can also operate it in what's called its active region. Instead of slamming that valve fully open or fully closed, you supply a small, varying input signal to the base.
This tiny variation produces a proportionately larger variation in the collector current. Suddenly, you aren't just switching anymore, you're actually amplifying. And this is exactly how we use this component in audio preamplifiers or signal conditioning circuits.
I also have to take a second to mention its famous counterpart. You see, the 2N5401 is notoriously popular because it pairs beautifully with the 2N5551, which is a high-voltage NPN transistor. Engineers constantly use this specific pair together to build highly efficient complementary amplifier stages. They're basically the dynamic duo of small-signal, high-voltage design. Section 4. Real-world applications, where the 2N5401 shines.
So, where are you actually going to use this thing? Well, first off, high-voltage switching. If your low-voltage BJTs just don't have enough voltage margin, this 150-volt beast is absolutely your answer. Next up, audio circuits, specifically in those complementary amplifier stages we literally just talked about. Also, because of its 300 MHz transition frequency, it's heavily utilized in oscillator and signal generation circuits. You'll also see it pop up all the time in driver circuits, providing current amplification between a weak control signal and a really heavy load stage. And of course, high-side switching, where, thanks to its PNP nature, it easily switches the positive side of a load.
Finally, Section 5, Limits and Replacements, a Buyer's Guide. Now I have to give you a very firm limitation warning here. Despite that super impressive 600 mA current rating, the 2N5401 is absolutely not a true power transistor. Its thermal power dissipation is strictly limited to roughly 625 milliwatts. If you try to operate it continuously at its maximum 150 volts and its maximum 600 milliamps simultaneously, it will literally melt. Seriously, no joke. You absolutely must respect the component's safe operating area, or SOA. Always calculate your thermal conditions.
So what happens if you need to replace a blown 2N5401, or you just can't source one? Well, remember, a higher voltage rating doesn't automatically mean it's a perfect drop-in replacement. Things like gain, current rating, and pinout all matter immensely. The undisputed 5-star direct replacement is the 2N5401YBU. It retains the exact 150-volt and 600 milliamp PNP characteristics of the original on semi versions. Now, the MPSA92 is a really solid 4-star alternative. It can actually handle an incredible 300 volts, but it does have a lower current capability, so it's not a true drop-in. The same goes for the MPSA56. Looking down at the 2N2907A or the BC556, these are strictly low-voltage alternatives. If your circuit pushes anywhere near that 150-volt mark, using those two will definitely result in failure. The bottom line, when in doubt, hunt down the 2N5401YBU.
We have covered a lot of ground today, taking the 2N5401 from a raw datasheet all the way to its practical place on your workbench. It really highlights how matching the perfect component specs to the actual physics of your circuit makes all the difference in the world. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. When you're designing your very next high-voltage circuit, will you stick with the trusty 2N5401, or does your specific load demand a completely different champion? Think about it, check your datasheets, and keep building.